Hi there, welcome to this week's edition of SecondsOut ReFLEXions. I'm Danny Flexen. Looking back on the weekend's boxing action, and we're going to focus on the big show in Sheffield, which saw the return of KELL BROOK after some 14 months out, following a laboured win over Michael Zerafa, who did turn out to be better than previously advertised when he upset Jeff Horn. But yeah, we hadn't seen Brook for a long time. The Zerafa fight, he linked up with an old friend in John Fuchs, left the Ingle gym, and just had a long period of inactivity afterwards. Couldn't nail down some of the big fights he wanted, fell into depression at one point as well, and eventually returned to the Ingle gym, which he's been in since he was 9 years old. Obviously a couple of spells, one with Dave Coldwell and then one with Fuchs, where he left, but for the most part, that's where he spent the vast majority of his career. Happy to be back, a thriving gym, working alongside a bunch of other ambitious boxers. Seemed to bring him back to his best, at least in terms of his mindset. But in terms of where he is physically, well, we had to wait to find out. And against a plucky and gutsy Mark DeLuca, albeit not the most ambitious after the first couple of rounds, Brook did look somewhat back to his best. But people were already getting a bit overexcited, saying, you know, Brook on this form beats any welterweight in the world. I saw on Twitter. Get him a title shot now was another one. And listen, he looked good. He did what he needed to do clinically with the minimum of fuss. Is he ready for a world title shot at either 147, if he can even make 147 safely ever again, or 154? I'm not sure yet. And the projected next fight with Liam Smith will tell us a lot more than DeLuca did. The fight itself, Brook shook off a bit of ring rust the first couple of rounds. His timing and accuracy weren't quite there early on. But once he got into his rhythm, established his distance, there was only going to be one winner. And the more he landed clean, hard shots, the less aggressive DeLuca became. And he tucked up more on the ropes, tried to move his head, got his nose busted, his face busted up as well. And it just wasn't that nice to see. I think Brook eventually got him out there round 7. And he was explosive in parts. He certainly didn't look shot, if that's what people were looking for, you know, looking to see if he was irreparably faded. But I wouldn't say, looking at that, yes, that's a world-beating performance, let's get him in with one of the Charlos right now, or sorry, the Charlo that's still at 154 perhaps, or but maybe someone like Rosario, I guess, who recently upset J-Rock. I can see why people are pushing that fight forward, but we definitely need to see Brook in another fight before a world title shot, just to see how he goes against opposition that's A, actually there to win rather than just survive, as DeLuca was after the first couple. And B, against opposition that's been a world champion or fought for a world title. And Liam Smith fits the bill very well. You know, it should mesh, style should mesh quite well also. Liam Smith likes to come forward, tucks up well, throws shots to the body. Fairly kind of upright, standard style, but there's a few nuances there. You know, he is a clever fighter, he's an intelligent fighter. Brook, on the other hand, likes to counter punch off the front foot. Look for the gaps, likes to throw that uppercut, which he probably overused at the weekend, and maybe underused his excellent jab against DeLuca. So bring them together, and whoever wins that fight goes on to a world title shot, and I think Eddie Hearn's looking to make it a WBO final eliminator. And whoever loses, their career at the very top level is probably over, as harsh as it is to say. I think Brook's 34. Not sure off the top of my head how old Liam Smith is, but I think he's over 30. So yeah, it's definitely a must-win fight for both of them, and a really sellable fight in Britain as well, either as a main event on a regular Sky Sports show or as chief support on a pay-per-view. And I know Sky Sports and Matchroom have a few pay-per-views coming up with heavyweights headlining, so definitely some options there for those guys. Also on the show, someone who did look around his prime without any doubt was Kid Galahad, who secured the IBF mandatory position at featherweight for the second time. Josh Warrington's going to hate seeing that. You know, it was bad enough the first time round, and they had a drab fight, I believe, last year, which Warrington edged on points. But now Galahad's in pole position for a rematch if Warrington's still the champion by the time that mandatory gets called. To get there, he had to beat a decent fighter in Claudio Marrero from the Dominican Republic, who he'd lost a couple of times previously, but never been completely kind of beaten up or outclassed. Dangerous puncher as well. But Galahad took the steam out of him early on, switched well from head to body, was quite aggressive while still being economical. So he didn't throw too many shots, but stayed aggressive with his feet, closed the distance down well, used angles, kept moving, and just proved the physically stronger man as well. And by the second half of the fight, before it was stopped. He was a bit of a bully in there, I think it's fair to say. Moreira didn't look like he wanted to be there anymore a few rounds before the finish. And now Galahad goes on, and fair play to him. You know, hopefully the Warrington rematch will be better to watch than the first fight, but he definitely deserves it. This is the second time he's secured a mandatory position with an eliminator victory, so no one can say he's been kind of manoeuvred into the position. He doesn't have a big fan base behind him, so it's not like there's any vested interest in getting him there. He's just earned it by good old-fashioned hard work, and whatever he's done in the past, I know why people take a dim view of that, and that's fair enough. But right now, he looks to be in the form of his life, and he'll never have a better chance to win a world title. We also saw, talking of world title wins, Denaby's Terry Harper deposed the long-reigning WBC super featherweight champion Eva Wallström from Finland. Just too sharp, too young, too insistent. You know, 23-year-old against, I believe, a 39-year-old, although Wallström doesn't look anywhere near 39. You know, I'm 38, she looks a lot younger than me, but maybe that says more about me than her. Either way, getting off on a tangent there, Terry Harper, yeah, just too sharp, long straight shots, moved when she had to, exchanged when she had to. Couple of hairy moments, took some decent clean shots, but showed she's got a good chin to go with her undoubted skills, and ran out a clear winner. And now she can look forward to big fights, perhaps even a fight up at lightweight with her former idol and now competitor Katie Taylor, which is a fight that I think Eddie Hearn would love to make. Just rounding off the show, we also saw the return of likeable heavyweight Dave Allen since getting schooled back in, I think it was July, by David Price. He came back in a relatively easy fight, no disrespect to opponent Dorian Darch, but he wasn't brought in to win. And Dave Allen almost let him off the hook. Drummed into him against the ropes in the third round, rocked him clearly with a left, and backed off for a second. They become quite friendly in the build-up, and I think Allen was a bit reticent about going in for the finish, but was soon had his mind changed by Darch, who just nodded, beckoned him in and said, "Go on," because he knew what was coming and he didn't want any favours from Allen. So great from both men, really, and Allen finished him off soon after. Again, a bit like Kell Brook, we really don't know what Allen can offer. He wants to win the British title. Can he do it? Certainly not while Dubois or Joyce is the champion, but maybe once they've moved on, we'll see Allen fight for a vacant belt or against a new champion. And I give him a chance, but we don't know just how good he is fighting the likes of Darch. He plans to have another fight like that, another 6-rounder against undemanding opposition, he said afterwards. But after that, hopefully we'll see him step up again. This is a guy who stopped Lucas Brown, of course, so he's not, you know, unheard of on the fringe world scene. So let's see what he can do, and I think a lot of people are behind him in doing so. That's my review of the show. I want to know what you think. What was the performance of the night? What was the fight of the night? And also, how far can Kell Brook go? Are you on the, you know, 2-time world champion bandwagon? Are you patient like me, or do you think he's irreparably finished? Let us know what you think below. We'll respond to some of the comments. And I'll be back next week with ReFLEXions, Monday at 4:30. And this Thursday at 4:30, I'll be here with FlexPectations. Also, if you keep an eye on our channel, we've got a very important premiere, 7 o'clock tonight on the channel, Jamie and the Champ, which is our second SecondsOut short film that we've made about a boy, or a man now, teenager, suffering with cerebral palsy, and how he's managed to improve his condition and his mindset through boxing. Really is a moving watch, only about 6 minutes long, and I recommend you all give it a look tonight or afterwards when it's there on the channel. Thanks very much for your time, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers.